Today, we are diving deep into your neck. No, really. We're going on a little tour of the incredible invisible wiring system that controls so much of what you do and feel, all without you ever having to think about it.
Go ahead, try it. Take a big breath in. Now shrug. Simple, right? But have you ever stopped to wonder how that actually happens? How did that thought, breathe, turn into a physical action? How did that message get from your brain all the way down to your diaphragm and your shoulders in less than a second?
Well, the answer is tucked away deep inside your neck. It's a beautifully complex network of nerves called the cervical plexus. Think of it as a crucial command and control center, a junction box that routes all the signals for everything from feeling a cool breeze on your skin to, the very act of breathing.
So here's how we're going to unscramble this thing. First, we'll cover what this command center is all about. Then we'll look at how it's built. After that, we'll trace the branching pathways, kind of like electrical wiring. We'll spotlight two all-star nerves you definitely need to know. And finally, we'll look at what happens when this critical system gets damaged. Sound good? Let's dive in.
Okay, first things first, let's get our bearings and answer the most basic question. What in the world is the cervical plexus? So that word plexus is just a fancy term for a braid or a network. And the cervical part just means in the neck. So the cervical plexus is literally a nerve network in your neck. It's formed from the first four nerves that pop out of your spinal cord, which we call C1 through C4. This is basically the main distribution hub for all the nerve signals headed to your neck, the back of your head, and even your upper chest. All right, let's play architect for a minute. How is this network actually put together? We're going to start with the absolute basics, the foundation. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with these four main power lines. These are the front branches of those first four spinal nerves, C1, C2, C3, and C4. Just picture them as these huge main cables coming right out of the spinal cord's power station, getting ready to be split up and routed all over the place. And this image right here, this is the master blueprint. You can see those four roots highlighted in blue coming right off the spinal column. This is ground zero. This is where the entire, complex, beautiful structure gets its start. But here's where it gets really cool. These nerves don't just run in straight lines. Nope. All of them, except for little C1, they split. They send one branch up and one branch down to connect with their neighbors, and they form this series of loops. It's this elegant, loopy structure that makes it a plexus and gives it that signature web-like look. Okay, so we've got the foundation and the main structure. Now let's look at all the smaller wires that branch off from it. What do these pathways actually do? It basically boils down to two main types of wiring. You've got your superficial branches, which run close to the surface and are mostly for sensation, for feeling things. And then you have the deep branches. These dive way down, carrying motor signals to make your muscles move. They're the action wires. This map is fantastic. It perfectly shows the job of those sensory nerves. This is called a dermatome map, and it's basically a wiring diagram for your skin. Each of those colored zones shows you exactly which nerve is responsible for the feeling in that specific patch of skin. So let's trace a couple of these, shall we? You see that little patch of scalp right behind your ear? The feeling there comes courtesy of the lesser occipital nerve. Or how about the skin on your earlobe and along your jaw? That's the great auricular nerve. And if you touch the front of your neck right now, you can thank the transverse cervical nerve for that sensation. It is an incredibly specific system. And it's not all going up. We've got one major branch that heads down. This is the supraclavicular nerve, and it fans out to give you feeling across the top of your shoulder and your upper chest, basically right where the collar of your shirt sits. Okay, now for the action wires, those deep motor branches. These guys aren't going to the skin. As you can see on the left, they plug directly into the deep muscles of your neck. Shown on the right, these are the wires that carry that contract signal from your brain, letting you do all those precise movements, like tilting your head or turning to look at something. All right, now inside this already fascinating network, there are two structures that are so important, so special, they really deserve their own spotlight. It is time to meet the all-stars of the cervical plexus. First up, we have the Ansa cervicalis, and I love this because its name literally tells you what it is. In Latin, it just means loop in the neck, and that's exactly what it is. It's this delicate secondary loop of nerves that branches off the main plexus. It's absolutely crucial for controlling the thin, strap-like muscles in the front of your neck that you use for swallowing and speaking. And the way this loop is built is just so elegant. It's a three-step dance. First,
A superior root from C1 drops down. Then, an inferior root from C2 and C3 also drops down, but then it hooks inwards. And finally, bam! The two roots meet up right in front of that big artery in your neck, forming the Ansa, or the loop.
Our second all-star is the phrenic nerve. And there's this classic little rhyme that medical students have used forever that perfectly sums up why it's so important. C3, 4, 5 keeps the diaphragm alive. That one little sentence tells you exactly where it comes from, C3 and C4, with a little help from C5 just below, and it tells you its absolutely vital, life-sustaining job.
And the journey this nerve takes is just mind-boggling. It starts way up in your neck, then it travels all the way down through your chest, weaving past your heart and your lungs until it finally reaches the diaphragm, that big dome-shaped muscle under your ribs. This one nerve is the only motor supply to your diaphragm. Let that sink in for a second. Without the phrenic nerve, you literally cannot breathe on your own.
Which brings us to our final and maybe most important section. Why does any of this anatomy matter in the real world? Well, because this delicate wiring can be damaged, from a car accident to an injury during surgery. So let's take a look at what happens when these vital signals get cut off.
And this slide just makes it crystal clear. On the left, a healthy phrenic nerve fires, the diaphragm contracts and pulls down, and air rushes into your lungs. Easy. But if that nerve gets damaged on one side, as you see on the right, that side of the diaphragm is paralyzed. It just sits there. It can't contract, and that can seriously mess with a person's ability to breathe.
In fact, our understanding of this anatomy is so precise that doctors can actually use it to their advantage. For some surgeries, they can inject an anesthetic right where the phrenic nerve runs in the neck to intentionally and temporarily paralyze one side of the diaphragm just to keep it still. That is an amazing testament to how well we understand this intricate wiring.
So the cervical plexus is just this perfect example of the hidden complexity humming along inside of us all the time. It's just one of several major nerve networks working silently, constantly, behind the scenes. It really makes you stop and wonder, doesn't it? What other incredible, invisible systems are working right now to keep you moving, feeling, and living?